All right, let's get started. What is up, everybody? I just want to thank you guys for joining us for our fourth week on digital marketing. If you missed the first three, you can always go back, check the link, and see the last 3 weeks that we've done. Got some awesome content for you guys today. Cool Instagram tip. And Chris is going to go into a little bit of storytelling and how to storytell with your brand. And we also got Chris Urban over from Geneva Financial to give us the market update. So without further ado, I just want to thank you guys. And Chris, it's on you, man. Let's hear it. What can we look forward to going forward with the market?
Hey, what's going on, Tony? I appreciate you letting me be on. So the market is crazy, as you guys probably know. After this quarantine, things just kind of got real crazy. No one really kind of knew what was going to happen. We didn't know if home values were going to drop, if buyers were going to fall out. But it looks like there were some added buyers that came to the market, and the ones that were in the market before the COVID stayed in the market. So it's making for a unique situation without a lot of inventory. But we're still lending money in the mortgage industry. We're having probably the best month we've ever had, and we've been saying that for the last 3 months. So things haven't slowed down. Rates are pretty much the lowest they've ever been since I've been in the mortgage industry in 18 years. So things are moving. But I want to kind of just discuss a couple things. How this COVID has affected the mortgage industry after you guys kind of got back to being able to show houses. So one of the things is with the unemployment rate being extremely high, it's making for lending to be a little bit cautious. We actually just reduced our credit score requirement down to 620 yesterday. But at the beginning of March or middle of March, it ballooned all the way up to like 660. And then there was a lot of loan products that just went away. A lot of your outside of the box non-QM loan products, your 203Ks, your rehab loans, a lot of those kind of went away. Even some of your jumbo market went away. Those aren't gone permanently. They're going to be back as there's more liquidity in the market. But one of the things that that is really affected is lending and lending on with the forbearance that's going on. A lot of people are more people are taking advantage of that than they should, because there were no hardships that needed to be put in place for that forbearance, which caused like kind of a ripple effect on the mortgage industry. Like I was telling you, Tony, the other day, one of the things that, the side effect to that is underwriters are really going to be scrutinizing types of industries that could potentially be shut down again if in case there's a second wave that comes through this COVID. So if you're kind of in a high risk industry, even though you're back to work, the underwriters could look at it saying, well, this industry has a potential of being shut down again. We don't know if we want to lend any money on that person, or we want some extra reassurances that this person won't get laid off. So it's really kind of affected our market in that way. The forbearance has really affected it as well. People that have existing mortgages and some of them, unbeknownst to them, were enrolled in the forbearance program. And up until last week, those people that were in forbearance wouldn't be able to get financing for a whole year after they were current on the mortgage. They kind of relaxed that a little bit. Someone can be in a forbearance, but they have to be current. But there's some things that still have to be done, like the verbiage has to be removed from the credit report, even though it's not affecting the credit score. That verbiage still has to be taken off. So, that's kind of what I just wanted to kind of, bring up is that, as agents and buyers, we have to be due diligent, and it's not anything personal. It's just kind of the way that the industry is right now. And it's super tight. But we're still lending money. And we're doing, we're lending a lot of it. It seems like every offer that I got right now is over asking price. So I think that's just kind of the market that we're going to be in for the time being until there's more inventory that hits the market. So, I don't know really when that's going to happen, but we just have to kind of roll with the punches. And buyers, they need to be really proactive, as far as if a house comes on the market, they need to jump on it. They can't really wait around a day or two to go look at that house. And I know you guys are doing some really cool stuff with virtual showings and virtual and VR, which is really helpful because it gives buyers an opportunity to see the house much quicker, and decide if they maybe want to put an offer on. But that's kind of my advice I've been telling a lot of my buyers is they can't procrastinate. They got to jump on it as soon as they see something that they may like.
Absolutely.
Try to find a way to look at that, set eyes on that house, whether it's virtually or physically, as quick as possible, so we can start the process. And then the other thing I kind of want to kind of mention is, real quick, is if you are looking to purchase, you could be thinking your time frame may be middle of summer. Pre-approvals last for 4 months. So, and the way the market is, get pre-approved now. Don't wait until the last minute to get pre-approved, because by the time you get pre-approved, the way these houses are flying off the market, within hours, you've already wasted so much time and probably lost at least 4 or 5 houses because you weren't pre-approved initially. So, so my advice would be to all buyers that are looking in the next 2-3 months, go ahead and get pre-approved right now. Because like I said, that pre-approval lasts for about 4 months. And then we can basically just update the pre-approval if you haven't found anything in the last 4 months. So, absolutely. But I appreciate you letting me speak for it, just kind of letting you know what's going on in the mortgage world. But, the main thing is we're lending money, and we're lending a lot of it. We just, there's just some things that we just got to adapt to, in this industry right now.
For sure. I appreciate it, Chris. Thanks for joining us today, man. I think it's interesting you brought up that second wave. There's a lot of people in the industry that aren't thinking about that second wave. And if it does hit, what's going to happen with those jobs, that may be affected again. So thanks for bringing up that point, man. I think that's huge. And that was something I was never thinking about. So thanks for bringing us aware of that. Real quick, I want to give you guys the Instagram tip of the week. And that is use hashtags. I know this sounds stupid, but hashtags are so important. It boosts your engagement up from anywhere from 15 to 20%. And you want to always do at least 20 hashtags. Instagram will let you do up to 30 hashtags, but if you keep it in that nice sweet spot between 15 and 20, that algorithm notices that, and it puts your post out in front of a target audience. So always use hashtags. If you don't know what hashtags to use, there's a really good hashtag generator, and that's called ahashtag.com. And we'll put it in the link, or we'll put it in the comments below. But it's super cool. You put your niche in, and it's going to generate the top 30 hashtags for you. You copy that, you put it in your post, and bam, you're going to start getting likes. You're going to start getting new followers. And that's just how Instagram works. So hashtag. Stay away from smoking hash and just do hashtags. Without further ado, I'm going to give it to the man of the hour, our guy Chris. He's going to go over some branding with us, some storytelling, and how to include storytelling in part of your content. So Chris, man, take it over. I'm excited for what you got in store for us today.
Cool. Hey guys, thanks for joining us for week 4 of our digital marketing. So like Tony said, today we're going to talk about storytelling. So I'm going to do a screen share with you guys, and we're going to go through, I'm going to run through this rather quick. So if you guys have any additional questions on what I shared today, feel free to reach out to me and we can cover it in a little more detail. But this is a pretty large segment that we're trying to jam into a pretty short period of time here. Alrighty, so storytelling. What we're going to cover in this segment is why is storytelling so powerful? And when I say storytelling, I'm not talking about making some fairy tale stories up and just wasting our time. It's about how to effectively engage our audience by using stories to do so. So we're going to talk about how it originated and how our brain works, the fundamentals of storytelling, how to tell stories that stand out, practical application of storytelling in your content, the vehicle, internal, external, philosophical, and a few others, which we talked about in some of the previous classes. So if you're unaware of what I'm talking about there, may want to do some catching up from the previous weeks. Correlations and analogies, helping people understand. Positioning statements, again, something we talked about in the previous weeks, and how to effectively utilize those in storytelling. And then we're going to have a task and a piece of homework at the end that's going to help you guys further understand this so that you can break it apart for your own brand. And then content that incorporates emotion destroys purely logical content. So what I mean by this is by laying out some facts about, market statistics, using whatever the APR is currently 3.125, it's the lowest rates that it's ever been. If you're able to incorporate this into a story and share with your clients a story that throws that stat in there, they're going to be a lot more likely to act on it and to remember that information. So storytelling, the secret ingredient, this is where we're going to dive real deep into this. So storytelling is ingrained deep into all of our brains. It's something that's been around in the human race forever. I mean, it's how we learn to live, survive, and thrive for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. So our brains are designed to learn not from facts, but from stories. So kind of like what I mentioned before, I mean, throwing a bunch of numbers at somebody, it's not as effective as putting it into a story format. We remember stories, but we don't remember random facts and lessons. So all that marketing really does today, I mean, across all industries, is tell stories. I mean, any commercial you see, I mean, they're not just throwing a bunch of numbers and statistics at you. They are telling you stories. I mean, it's the reason why some companies like Porsche are able to sell a car for $115,000 when Volkswagen sells the same car on the same chassis that comes out of the same factory for $70,000. And the only difference there is the story that's told behind those two vehicles. So it's the reason that we generally enjoy the taste of wine out of a certain classier glass than the same wine drank out of a standard cup. And this is something that's, there's been studies around how somebody can take the same exact drink of wine from a different glass and think it tastes better. But realistically, all that is the story that marketer told behind that wine glass. It's the reason, again, I mean, we're going to touch on Apple a half dozen times throughout this course. But Apple does this so well. I mean, digital marketing, storytelling. Apple is a brand that has been 100% built on storytelling. I mean, it was put out there that they were just the brand to have so long ago, and everybody's got that ingrained within them now. And even though HP and Dell make better computers spec-wise, Apple still kills it. So I mean, that was Steve Jobs' biggest strength, storytelling. He founded Pixar, so he was very familiar with storytelling. And then when he goes over to Apple, obviously he created a monster there and utilized storytelling to help create that. So even in real estate, it's the best way to build our business. So it's the key to being regarded as more than just a realtor. It's the key to differentiation. I mean, how many realtors do you see out there that are telling stories through their content and really painting that picture for the client? And I've had people kind of lash out on me for some of my listing descriptions because I'm telling a story. In a listing description, it's something that a lot of people don't understand, but by storytelling, you're hitting people on a different level, which we'll get into kind of how the brain works. That'll kind of dig that apart a little deeper, and you guys will understand that a little more. But again, it's the key to trust and respect. I mean, this is something that we're going to talk about 100 times throughout this course as well. I mean, gaining people's trust and respect, and when they choose the realtor that they're going to work with, if they trust and respect you, I mean, odds are they're going to go with you as their real estate agent. It's the key to giving people the beliefs they want to buy or sell. So the whole beliefs and disbeliefs that we were talking about before, I mean, having that transformation within your clients to get them to choose to work with you and overcome those false beliefs that they had before. So this is going to kind of go deeper into kind of how the brain works in that. So the chemicals that the brain releases, dopamine, which is going to primarily affect our focus, our memory, our motivation. So that's actually going to come from storytelling itself. And then oxytocin, which is going to be generosity, trust, and bonding. That's going to come from empathy, which is going to be part of our storytelling. And then endorphins, when the brain releases those, we feel relaxed and trusting. And that's going to come from entertainment and laughing. So you guys can see how all of these elements are something that we can create in telling a story and in creating content for our clients or our prospects. So 3 parts of the brain, storytelling, it surpasses the neocortex. So the neocortex is our rational or our thinking brain. And it's going to appeal to the limbic brain. So by telling a story, it's going to appeal to that emotional or the feeling brain, completely surpass that neocortex, which is going to be what a lot of us think we're making our decisions based off of. But hey, if we can skip that, go right down to the limbic brain by telling a story, I mean, it's going to have such a dramatic effect for our prospects and our clients. So, I mean, again, this is going to show us that stories are the most powerful tool to influence others. But we want to make sure that we're using this for good and not for bad, because obviously, I mean, you can do the same sort of thing and create a huge following for all the wrong reasons. We don't want to do anything like that. So please, please, please don't misuse any of this. And then back to kind of the false beliefs. So like we had talked about in, I believe, week 3, overcoming false beliefs and helping people achieve their desired beliefs. So an example of this is something that I recently thought. I mean, 2 years ago, I tried putting money into Facebook ads and kind of came up with the belief that it didn't work. I mean, I failed. I spent $2,000 and didn't get anything out of it. But today, I can tell you this story about how I spent $2,000 on Facebook ads. I was certain that it didn't work. Then I found somebody that was able to teach me how to fish, teach me how to do this the right way. And now I can tell you that we've built a brand around our Facebook account. I mean, producing content is really where Inked Michigan Realty has stemmed from. And today I can sit here and tell you that we spend $3,000 or more on Facebook ads a month. And I will never stop doing it because it is so effective for our brand. So you can see by telling you a story, instead of saying Facebook ads don't work 2 years ago, but now they do. I mean, it's a lot more powerful tying in that emotion and tying a story to that, instead of just throwing out the statistics of, you know, I got this many leads today, whereas 2 years ago when I tried, I didn't get anything out of it. So here we're going to dive into the fundamentals of storytelling. So obviously we want to make good stories that are simple, stories that people can understand. So we don't want to use a ton of real estate jargon that people don't really care about or understand what the hell it means. And we're going to have 3 basic elements here. So we're going to have the character, the desire, and the conflict. And we've got to make sure that all of these have a big idea or a main lesson or point that you're trying to get across, so that you're not just telling a story for no reason at all here. So the 3 elements of a great story, we've obviously got to have a hero. So, I mean, if you guys think back to any movie you've watched, I mean, there's a hero, there's a desire, a goal, and aspiration, and then there's a conflict and challenges that have to be overcome along the way to create a great story. So we're going to want to, at the beginning of the story, we're going to want to create empathy for the hero, create sympathy for the hero, and make people feel sorry for the hero. And the hero in this example, so the hero is going to be our client or our prospect. So we're going to want to share some details about our prospect, our client, whoever we're telling the story about, just to kind of let people understand who they are and start to feel some emotions towards them. Then we're going to go into putting the hero in jeopardy. So maybe this is something to do with the fact that, you know, their family is growing, their house has just become far too small, or they're currently renting, spending way too much money on rent. So, I mean, we're going to put something in jeopardy here. And this is something that you can easily pick apart in a lot of our scenarios that we go through on a daily basis with the clients or prospects that we work with. And then we're going to make our hero likable. So people love characters that are kind, generous, loving, funny, and good-hearted. So obviously we don't want to pick a terrible person as our example that we're going to storytell with. I mean, it's not going to be as effective because people are not going to be able to connect with that individual on the same level. And then we're going to want to show that our hero is highly skilled. We're all drawn to people who exude extraordinary skill, and we subconsciously want to become like these people when hearing these stories. So we want to make sure that's an element that we're able to put across in our storytelling. And then we go to the desire portion of it, the goal, aspiration, or American dream. So to win, the hero must be trying to win something: money, fame, status, the heart of someone. For us, storytelling is going to be that house that they're looking for. They're looking for that dream home, or they're looking for this big pot of gold after they sell their home. I mean, most of our stories in this industry are going to be kind of based around that dream home or the money involved in selling their home, or maybe they've got a situation where there's a bigger part to it. Maybe it's the nice young family moving into the home that they raised their entire family in. And then we're going to want to retrieve. The hero wants to obtain something and bring it back. To escape, the hero desires to get away from something that is causing pain, and then to stop. The hero wants to stop something bad from happening. So these are all things that we're going to want to build desire around in our story. Then the conflict, what's keeping our hero from achieving their desire? So conflict comes in the form of internal, external things that are holding our hero back from achieving their goals and desires. So this is going to be a lot of the common things that happen in the home selling or buying process. I mean, we all know this is our job as real estate agents, is to get our buyer or seller from that listing or from that accepted offer to a closing table. And I mean, me personally, there's a ton of conflict that happens along the way. So I mean, we have no shortage of conflict to put in our stories here. It's where the emotion in the story lies. I mean, getting people's emotions involved and ramping that emotion up and then bringing it back down. Without conflict, there's just not much of a story there at all. And we want to think about the conflict your prospects are having and are going to have with their internal struggles and their external factors along the way. So again, your stories must have that big idea, the core message. What's the main point of the story? If you're just telling a story to tell a story, I mean, it's not going to be very effective for you. It's got to have that big idea behind it. What action would you like for them to take after? So we need to have that call to action in there. And when you know your core message, your story is going to be powerful, relevant, and it incites action in people. And again, establish that call to action. So the story structure, we're going to have the setup, the crisis. So the setup's going to be kind of getting to know that hero. The crisis obviously is going to be that conflict that happens early in the story that is getting them to want to buy or sell a home. The pursuit, the journey along the way. The conflict is going to be any of those issues that arise during the transaction itself. And then we're going to have the climax and then the aftermath. And the aftermath would look like, I mean, maybe check back in with your clients a couple of weeks after they've moved in and take some video footage of their son or daughter playing around in the backyard and them just enjoying that new home. So here's a little bit of context. So you can get a mortgage that would cost less or the same as what you're renting for. So the setup is going to be talking about that past client, Rebecca, in this example, and how she was in that same exact position when she was renting. The crisis is going to be one day she reached out to me after seeing one of my posts, and within a couple hours, we were able to find out that instead of paying off her landlord's mortgage, she could be paying that same amount of money and paying off her own mortgage. And then the pursuit. So we started looking at homes. We visited a few different ones, and she fell in love with a 3-bedroom, 2-bath story in Broken Hill. The problem was that, like our market today, it is a seller's market. So we have a ton of offers on the table. There were 4 other offers in, and we had to take some brutal negotiations to make it so that the seller accepted her offer. And then the climax. In the end, our offer won, and it beat out those other 4 offers that were on the table. Now she's going home every day to her dream home and spending less money than she was on rent. So, I mean, by framing it in this way, you guys can see how much more powerful that is than just telling people, why would you rent when you can buy a home for the same monthly cost? Again, it's about transformation. It's about taking those false beliefs and helping your prospects have that internal transformation to buy or sell a home. At the core of every great story is the element of internal transformation. The reason we watch Castaway is to feel what it'd be like to be castaway on an island, go through all the emotional drama and survive. So, I mean, obviously this is a huge example of this. I mean, that entire story revolves right around this entire concept of storytelling. The same thing goes with Titanic. I mean, the the core message there is true love, even if it was ever so briefly. I mean, before Jack, I believe his name was Jack, before Jack passed away, you know. The reason we watch James Bond is because we all want to be a badass. So everyone wants to be someone better, someone different, or at least more accepting of themselves. Smart brands sell an identity. So instead of just throwing those statistics out there, start telling stories behind it and start selling an identity and start building that brand. So who does your prospect want to become? Do they want to be one of these celebrities living in this big fancy home? What is their aspirational identity? And how do they want to be described by their friends? So people are going to listen to our stories to learn and discover something about themselves. We're simply the vehicle that's going to be putting that out there. And it's the same thing that goes for why they watch movies, TV shows, and fictional books. Our ultimate goal for these stories is to give them that internal transformation that I keep talking about, guys. The prospect wants to see the emotional change in someone, which lets them overcome something that's holding them back from chasing that exact same goal. So to break and build those false beliefs and build a new belief, we're going to want to tell a story where someone was in a similar position as what that prospect was and how that changed for that individual. And when they see somebody else doing it through our words or through our videos, it's going to help them overcome those false beliefs and change that to their desired beliefs. So first step here is going to be to list all of these false beliefs that our prospects might have into 4 main categories, which we touched about in some of the previous weeks: the vehicle, the internal, external, and philosophical. And then step 2 is going to be, why are they telling themselves these lies and believing these stories? So if anybody did the homework from previous weeks, this was kind of all broken down in there, so you could reflect back to that. And then what are some stories and analogies that we can use to break these false beliefs and get them to their desired beliefs? Okay, so some of the different story categories that we could use for the vehicle is going to be an origin story about us and our brand, a positioning story, a failure story, which failure stories can be extremely powerful. I mean, it helps build trust on a whole new level when you're not only sharing the positive of what you do as a brand, but you're also sharing failures, or you have an interview with a prospect and you realize that you're not the right fit for that client, and you're honest with them and tell them that. Making content around that can be very beneficial because it gets people to instill their trust in you. Like, hey, you know, they didn't choose their commission over what was best for that client and actually steer them in the direction of another agent because they were better suited for that other agent. Internal is going to be client interview stories, and whether this is written post, whether this is a video that you've done with your clients. I mean, there's many ways of doing this. Success stories would be another example of this. External story is going to be another client interview story, failure stories or opportunity cost stories. And then philosophical stories about anything that's happened to you or anyone else in your life that has a lesson behind it. And then promotional is going to be a story about your neighborhood or a particular business in your neighborhood. So one of the things that we've done a few times, and we'll probably be doing more in the future, is kind of reaching out to local businesses and doing interviews with those local businesses. And if you do any interviews with local businesses, make sure it's obviously in a community that you are doing work in a community that you're trying to tie your brand to, and make sure that people are aware of the best restaurants to eat in that area, or some other cool things happening there. So remember that storytelling is a tool that we can use to help build a certain belief and teach a certain lesson and give that transformation, that internal transformation. So back to the vehicle stories, our own origin story. There's something inherent in people that they want to know more about you, especially if you're a cool and interesting real estate agent or brand. What is it that you do, your philosophy and your principles? This will create a strong emotional connection between you and your viewers. A positioning story is going to be a story that demonstrates that you're more trustworthy and respected than other realtors, and that your way is the best way, that your solution is number one. But we don't want to do this by putting other agents down. We want to speak honestly. I mean, honesty is so huge in all of this, so don't kind of take any of this without a bit of honesty behind it. Stories of failure, story about someone who decided to not work with you and your brand and unfortunately lost a lot of time and money. So I recently had a client that actually used me on the sell side of his property, but decided to use a family friend on the buy side of this property, on the buy side of his new home. And about a month after he closed, he gives me a call and he goes, Chris, I made a mistake. You know, I worked with my family friend from my church for the buy side, and she was also the listing agent, and she steered me wrong and didn't recommend an inspection for me. And now we're having this problem, this problem, this problem, and this problem. So, I mean, that's a story of failure where, you know, I lost my client on the buy side of the transaction because he had a family friend that was in the business and it didn't work out for him. So telling that story can be pretty powerful. And then a mission story, your mission and why it means so much to you, especially powerful if it benefits your community. So for us, I mean, the whole starting in Pontiac and kind of centering everything we do around Pontiac and now moving that over to Shelby as well. And being hyper local in those communities where we've got those offices. So timing, we want to get across that the best time to get in touch with you as a realtor is as soon as possible, even if they're months out from buying. So a story that we could use here is a story of a past client who waited until the last minute and explained like all the difficulties that came along with this and how much harder their process was because of this. So the lesson that we're going to have here is the best time to get in touch with us is right now, even if you're not looking to buy 6 months out. And us as real estate professionals, I think most of us know the better prepared we are and the earlier that a prospect reaches out, the more we're going to be able to help them with the process instead of their family members and friends who may be giving them false information and putting more false beliefs in their mind. And then we're going to want to have that call to action. So either a direct call to action asking them to send a message, or a transitional call to action, which would be something like click learn more to download my buyer's guide today. So this would be a real life application here. So I'm going to go ahead and read this off for you guys. So you don't know what you don't know. I know it's really hard to ask questions. Personally, I usually like to make sure I know as much as I can before I bring questions to the table. I want to make sure I sound like an expert, which is so weird because I used to be a teacher. And truly, there are no bad questions. But you hesitate because you don't know what to ask and you don't want to feel like you can be taken advantage of. I get that. Buying and selling real estate is anything but instinctive, so you want to learn about it first. The most unfortunate thing that happened in my job is that people only approach me the second they're ready to buy or sell. And while I'm so grateful for these calls, I wish people didn't wait to ask at the last minute because they feel like they're bothering me or don't think they have the right questions. You don't know what you don't know, and you really don't have to. Still, these calls come when people have tried to solve the problems by themselves and they're exhausted. They've gotten advice from neighbors, friends, lawyers, families, etc. And by the time they're ready, they're more confused than when they started. The truth is, if you're ready to buy or sell today and you call me, you're actually probably not as well prepared as you thought. And it is a massively daunting task to do so on your own, especially when you really don't have to. You may be ready to start, but just in case you aren't ready to call me yet, I have put the steps of the purchase or sale in a link in my bio, so the call to action there. They're free, just here to help you get started. All I ask is that you never feel like you're wasting my time. Believe me, I could talk about real estate all day. So this is an example post of something that was done in a text format instead of a video format. And I mean, it's getting out a story that is so common in our industry. Most people wait until that last minute when they're ready to pull the trigger. And when they do so, they talk to Chris, and he tells them, you know, you've got this little mishap on your credit that we need to get cleared up. This is going to take a couple months to take care of. So you're actually not going to be able to buy for 3 months from now. If they would have reached out to you when they first started this process 6 months ago, we would have been able to help them out with that, got them in touch with the lender, and made it so that they were actually ready to buy a home when they wanted to buy a home. So the position here is that you're honest and you'll always tell the truth, even when it doesn't benefit you. Have their best interest at heart. The story is going to be of a past client who's come to us after a bad experience with another realtor, and we're going to use those positioning statements. Unfortunately, most realtors are not like that. And the lessons we're going to learn here is be careful about who you choose to work with because it could mean the difference between success and failure. Take your time to make sure you're choosing the right realtor to represent you. So another example here, this is going to be another written post. So talked with somebody this morning for about 30 minutes. He applied to work with us. Towards the end of the call, I said, man, I don't think we're the best fit to help you. You got a pen? Write this email down. I think he's better qualified to get you where you want to go. Send him an email. He was shocked and thanked me profusely and told me how refreshing it was to hear that. It's not that being turned down is refreshing. It's that not many people in our industry, it seems at least, have the guts to value the person over the revenue. So true in real estate. I could have gotten this guy in. It would have been easy. He was already half sold and applied to be a client. Would it have helped our numbers? Yeah, a little, but we aren't playing a short-term numbers game here. I want to play at the very freaking top. I want to be around and still helping people 15 years from now, but we definitely will not get there with short-term, short-sighted money-making decisions. You get there by being honest and by telling people the truth, even if it costs you. But in the long run, it doesn't really cost you anything to be authentic. In the long run, it'll make you more money than you can even imagine because people flock to what's different. Being honest is apparently the abnormality right now. So you guys can see how powerful telling a story behind this is, as opposed to kind of what I briefly read off before this. Putting in that story format just really hits on a whole nother level and completely surpasses that rational thinking brain. So client interviews of success: relate your happy clients to the prospect by telling a story of all of the external and internal challenges they went up against and how they overcame them to ultimately succeed. In this interview, really paint a picture of your prospect's aspired identity. Stories about your own success, we're going to want to have them be a story about anything where you went from having conflict in your life to resolving that conflict and growing as a person in the process. So one of ours there would be like the whole example of the Facebook. And then stories that inspire and motivate. Any story where the end lesson is inspirational and empowering. Super powerful right now, especially with what's going on in the world with COVID-19. Inspirational and empowering post. I mean, even something as simple as a quick little TikTok video. I know I did a bunch of inspirational ones of those when we were not essential, and they did really well because there was so much negativity in the world that posting some inspirational content out there, I mean, it really just kind of hit people on a whole new level. Some more on internal stories: the ability that they can handle the process of selling their home and buying a new one, selling their home first. The fear that if they're afraid, this is normal and a natural thing to overcome. Challenges that they can overcome any and all challenges that will be present in the journey. And identity: how amazing are they going to feel about themselves and their life once they're in that brand new home? So that's going to get them from that false belief to that desired belief. So in that interview, we're going to ask our client some questions and take our viewers on an emotional journey. And these questions are going to cover all of those ups and downs that client had and how they ultimately overcame those challenges and ended in success. This is going to give that viewer that emotional experience of success and automatically positions you as the guy that helped get your client there, and they're going to want to do the same thing with you. So this is actually one of my past clients here. So their name is actually Adam and Natalie. But we went through all the ups and downs of the home buying journey, and we put together, I believe this was just short of a 7-minute video where it was basically me just asking them some questions, framing it around storytelling and making sure that I painted that picture effectively. Did a quick little intro of the home they purchased outside, did a little graphic with their name on there, and then made a post about it. And we don't want to frame this as a testimonial. We want to make sure that we're framing this more as a story and an educational piece. So just kind of keep that in mind with any of the testimonials you do. But at the end of the day, a video testimonial, so much more powerful than just getting a testimonial on Zillow and sharing it to your page. So an external story, the client interview of success, kind of what we just talked on there. Opportunity cost: what's it going to cost them by not taking action today? So this would be kind of that example that I gave on the buyer reaching out when they're ready to purchase instead of reaching out a few months in advance. And the fact that, that might have wasted 2 months. It might have wasted 3 months. I mean, they might not be ready to buy until this time next year because they didn't take action soon enough. And then stories about failure because of waiting and not listening to you. So money, that they have mortgage options with a down payment that would suit their budget. A lot of people have false beliefs. I mean, still, even today, I mean, many people think that they need to put 20% down and they think they need to have a 700 credit score. And I mean, all of us know that is completely false today. So if we can frame a story around this, a story of a past client who also had that belief that they didn't have enough down payment for a home and thought they'd have to wait 2 years and save up $20,000, $30,000 before getting their home. But after meeting with us and we directed them towards our preferred lender, they discovered that they're not going to have to wait 2 years, but they could actually buy a home right now just because they didn't need that down payment that they thought they were going to need. So the lesson they're going to learn here is even if they're in a bad circumstance and don't think they can get a house yet, they probably can, or I mean, they possibly can. They just need to reach out and ask for help and get pointed in the right direction. So we're going to want to make sure we have that call to action there again. So send us a message or a text as soon as possible, and we can let you know your options. Get them in touch with a preferred lender and see what their situation actually looks like, so they have a solid plan when they are ready to go. Philosophical stories. So this one we do have to be a little careful with. So I'd always recommend stay away from politics and religion. It's something I never share my opinion on at all, because I mean, people are so easily turned off by that. And I mean, especially right now, you see a ton of people unadding friends on Facebook on a daily basis because of their friends' political views. And, us as real estate professionals, probably better off just leaving our opinions, our views on politics and religion kind of out of it. So personal philosophy, what we stand for, what we stand against. Here, we're going to communicate our values, our beliefs, and our worldviews. Again, we're going to keep politics and religion out of it to attract others who have the same ones. And remember, we kind of touched base on that ideal client avatar in week 1. And this is something, we might turn some people off with what our beliefs and our views are, but we don't want to appeal to everyone, because by appealing to everyone, we're not going to appeal to our target audience as strongly as we could. And then story, how things should and shouldn't be. So it shouldn't be that you're paying someone else's mortgage for them, right? We should look into getting a mortgage ourselves and paying our own mortgage. So life is better with a new home. That happiness starts at home, and that starts with the perfect home. So the story here is going to be when you were a little boy or a girl, how much joy it brought to your family when your parents were able to buy their first home, how much happier it made them, and how much closer it brought the family. So home equals happiness is the lesson they're going to learn here. And I mean, most of us still feel the same way today. I mean, I know when I bought my first house, it was a huge internal transformation and how accomplished I felt. So by framing stories around this, whether it's about buying your first home or helping one of your clients buy their first home, I know I still get super emotional. I've got a first-time home buyer that's closing tomorrow. And, it's like, it's super cool to see how excited and how emotional they get about the process. Our boy Londo here, no longer on our team, but he is used in this example. So this was one of the videos that he did for us. How will millennials retire? It is our responsibility to take control of our financial future and show those after us how they can one day be financially independent. Home ownership is the key to financial freedom. So by telling that story there, even that brief little story, and then having a video clip behind it, it's going to entice people to click that video and watch that video, because we're making them feel something there. Some other ways to use these stories are neighborhood stories or stories about a particular city. So with us, we've done a few on Pontiac itself, and we'll probably be doing one on Shelby in the near future. What's the story of the town? What's the history like? What's the community like? And what's it like to live here and be part of this community? And this is where you can kind of tie in those business reviews or business interviews as well, to give people a feel for what those restaurants are like, what the teachers are like. And if you make content about your community, it shows that you truly care about that community, and you're going to start doing more business in that community, especially if you have mission attached to it. Tony is the founder of a nonprofit boxing gym in Pontiac. So, I mean, that's huge for us to be able to kind of have our hands in that and truly help the youth of Pontiac and be able to become a bigger part of this by utilizing things like that and having that mission that's attached to it. A listing, what is the history of your listing? Is there a story behind your listing? Is it a historic home that somebody famous lived in at some point in time? Did John Sally live in your house, or just the Bishop's Mansion that Tony sold recently, or 2 years ago at this point? When was it built? Who lived there? What does it feel like to live in there? What is it close to? What sort of life does it provide? Speak to your prospects' aspired identity and desired lifestyle. So you'll see a lot of agents are doing lifestyle videos now, which was used as an example in, I believe, week 1. We had a lifestyle video in there, and just how much more powerful it is to put people in the lifestyle of living in that particular home instead of just shooting a quick little video where you're like, hey guys, welcome to 123 Main Street. Step inside. And then you just go in and take some photos and pan around between these different photos, or, you know, the generic video templates that a lot of brokers make for them. It's not nearly as powerful as making a lifestyle video behind that. And even if it costs you some money to have that video made, it is well worth it. New discovery. This is anything that has a lesson or an epiphany attached to it. It could be anything that has happened to you recently and can give your audience a valuable lesson to learn from. This will usually fall into one of the 4 categories without you even thinking about it. So remember, guys, we don't have to only share about real estate. I mean, we're real people and people want to see that. Personal use, you achieving or overcoming something. This will give your audience an internal feeling of success. Make sure to always have a lesson with it that people can take away from it. So a couple more examples of some ads that we've done in the past. The one on the left there is actually an interview that I did with a guy named Mike McGinnis down here in Pontiac. He's a huge influence in the city of Pontiac and actually works for one of the historical societies down here. So I did a fairly lengthy interview with him. And then an example of one of our just listed posts, kind of the format that we use on those. And kind of a little bit of the storytelling in that. Have you always wanted a home where you're just minutes from some of the most stunning trails around? Do you love nothing more than to take a walk on a crisp summer morning down to see flowing streams for miles? Then look no further than this humble single family home built in 2002. This was, I believe it was like $120,000 listing. So it wasn't anything special, but by telling a story around it like that, I mean, it creates such a power that wasn't there before. I mean, just looking at the photos and, hey, this is a 3-bed, 2-bath with a garage and a finished basement. It doesn't paint that same picture in your prospect's mind. So using correlations and analogies. An analogy is a comparison between one thing and another, typically for the purpose of explanation or clarification. So you're going to do this by connecting 2 unrelated events in a way that provides a paradigm shift or a kick in the ass call to action. So the ultimate goal is to be able to connect anything that happens to you in life with some important real estate lesson. Use events in your life, the news, controversial stuff, sports, books, conflicting views, anything that's currently going on in the world realistically. So a lot of people could use some things with COVID-19 currently. So example from Warren Buffett here is ignoring this is like leaving a car out in a hailstorm with this beautiful Tesla underneath of it here. Some other examples we're going to see is choosing the right realtor is like choosing the right doctor. Think of selling your home think of getting your home ready for sale like getting ready for your wedding. Think of selling your home like building a house. You need the foundation before you start building the walls. Buying a home in this market is like buying Amazon stock in 2001. Who wouldn't want to act on something like that? Ignoring this is like leaving a car out in a hailstorm. Skate where the puck is going to be. You need the market where your customers are going to be. Digital marketing would be a great example of this. You know, choose an agent that is already up on digital marketing where the market is going to be instead of choosing somebody that's currently trying to adapt to the changing marketplace. And then back to positioning statements that define your position and the position against your competition. So some examples of this would be, here's something no other realtor will ever tell you. Here's where most realtors go wrong in helping you sell. Here's why most realtors can't get you the right asking price. Here's what every other realtor will take no spare second to tell you. Be careful of realtors who tell you this, and don't ever trust a realtor who tells you otherwise. And beware of realtors who always tell you so. This is never done with the intention to diminish our competition, but how to differentiate ourselves. So make sure that we're not speaking poorly of any individual realtors. Don't use any names or any examples in anything like this. We just want to position ourselves as the trustworthy, honest, realtors in the market. And if you're not a trustworthy, honest person, probably don't use any of these examples. So what we're going to want to do now is you guys are going to want to create a library of stories and analogies and statements that you guys can use in your marketing campaigns. So actually, I mean, this is part of the homework you'll have is I'll get you guys a document that will kind of break all this down into some steps for you. You guys will be able to start creating that library of stories that you can fall back on to start creating content from that are going to touch on that vehicle, the internal, external, philosophical, and the promotional. And then if you want to make your content amazing, guys, like make this library and start utilizing what I'm teaching you. So many people will listen to these classes or watch the playback of this and not take any action. And I can guarantee you that if you take action with this, it is going to put you leaps and bounds above a lot of the other agents out there. And then at this time, I'm going to toss a link to the storytelling homework in the chat box below. And then I'm going to send it back over to Tony, and I think he's going to ask if anybody's got any questions for us.
Okay, there we go. So does anybody have any questions regarding storytelling? I think it's I mean, storytelling is a game changer in any industry where you're trying to get in front of your clients and gain their trust and show them the light at the end of the tunnel. Questions. Well, if you do have any questions.
Yes, I have a question.
What's up, Carmen?
Hi, just Carmen. My question is, what do you advise for new realtors that's, say, less than 6 months in the industry that's trying to get their social media marketing going?
All right, Carmen. So if you're new in the industry, what you're going to want to do is, I mean, obviously we don't have the experience that we can go off of. You're going to want to find kind of your niche and what kind of separates you and really define kind of what your strong point is as an individual. So for me, I've been in the industry for about 3 years now. So I'm fairly new myself. And when I first got in, I really kind of took hold of this whole digital marketing thing and learned as much as I possibly could about it. So that's kind of been my like calling card is an expert in digital marketing. So that's something that I've been able to utilize and sell to my prospects and clients to build that trust. And honestly, for me, it's been a lot of just being 100% me, being different than other agents and being who I am as a person. It just makes everything so much easier by doing that. And then, so the stuff that we've gone through in the previous weeks, is this your first week here, Carmen?
It is.
Okay, so we've got some links that'll link to our Facebook for the first 3 weeks. Then those will each be about an hour a course. The first one will give you kind of some basic overview of kind of where to start. And then as we continue into this, it's going to get deeper into the content itself. But the biggest piece of advice I can give for you is just create, or document. Creating content is something that is so easily done, but so many of us fail to do. And honestly, until this market shift started happening, even big players weren't doing it. And you're starting to see a lot more money dumped into Facebook ad spend for real estate agents. But I mean, organically, posting content on a regular, consistent basis is so incredibly powerful and will set you apart from most of the agents out there. And if you continue to do it and continue to do what we're teaching in this course, I can guarantee you're going to end up in the top 5% of real estate agents in your market, because most people aren't taking advantage of this. And even the people that are listening to courses like this aren't acting on it.
Okay.
Content is king for sure. And find your niche. If you have a hobby or something, network, get involved in the community. I actually get a lot of my clients just from going to the gym. So I think networking is huge as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions, guys? All right. Well, I'm going to pass it over to Tony C to give us a little info on EXP.
All right. How are you guys doing, man? Great to see you. That is some powerful training, man. I was blown away by that, man. Chris, I love it. That's just some great explanation. It's funny because I always say, in training people, adults you can tell a kid, don't do this. And, you don't tell them, don't ask me why, right? I remember I got my butt smacked when I was little and I asked why. But as adults, we all need to be told why, and you explained it and broke it down in such a fashion that was just incredible, man. I love that. And I definitely want to actually watch it again. So that's powerful. I think that needs to be shared with more people for sure, because that is you went to the root of what marketing's all about. So that was awesome. But well, guys, I'm not going to take a lot of time at all. I've been in real estate for 20 years. I do own other businesses and interests, but real estate is my passion. And I've been with Remax most of my career. But one thing that always hit me, and I guess, as being a realtor, I enjoyed selling homes and, working with clients. But one thing is I enjoy life more, so I'll just, be honest with that. I'd rather be, if I have my options, be on the beach, and doing other things. But there was no option because real estate does not have a retirement plan. And I know some people invest in real estate, but that's literally like 1% of agents are actually successful in living off of that when they retire. Most agents just work until they die. That's just the bottom line. And that hit me years ago when I went to classes, actually sat in a class for the CE credits. And I thought, wow, I'm sitting around a table or a room, 200-300 people all over the age of 60, 65. And I was depressed. I literally was like, I got to do something. I can't do this, just real estate. But 3.5 years ago, came across a company that showed me an option that I could provide to realtors across the globe to give them an option to actually retire. Give them an option to say, man, I'm producing 8 million, 10 million a year. That doesn't happen easily. That's work. That's a grind. And although you can put systems and all that, it's still, you're putting in a lot of hours and focus. And this gave me the option through EXP to not only build my business up in sales because of all the tools, technology that meshes very well with Inked Realty and their philosophy and strategies, but also to create a residual income. So if you get sick, if you get hurt, if someone in your family gets hurt, you have an elderly parent you need to take care of, these things take your time away. I've talked to numerous realtors in the last 2 years, like, oh, well, last year wasn't such a good year for me because I had to take care of my mother, or I broke a hip, or whatever. Life happens. Well, so do you just go into financial ruin because of it? No. What if there was an option that you had income coming in? What if you had the option to have ownership in the company and not have to run it, where you can gain stock equity? And so I'm going to talk about some of those things here, guys. I'm going to go through real quick. The presentation. Let me know, Tony, if you can, if the screen comes through. I need to be enabled screen sharing.
Let's see here.
And guys, I'm going to be quick with this. I'm not going to go into a long presentation. I'm going to bullet point a couple things and get off here. But I just wanted you guys to understand that there is a business model out here that provides realtors an incredible income and equity position through our stocks. I'm hitting share and it keeps saying.
Does it say share down at the bottom?
I hit share and then a notice comes up: host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Let's see here. Chris should be able to change.
I have to be granted permission, I think.
Yeah, let me see if I can
make me a co-host maybe, or yeah, it's still popping up.
Interesting. I'm not sure why it's doing that because I didn't change anything on the sharing side.
Okay, wait, I think it's doing it now. Here we go. You did something. There we go. You see it?
Yep.
All right, cool. Yep. So I'm going to get through this quickly, guys. But, normally I go through a full presentation. If you're interested in seeing this, it is powerful. I always tell realtors, as a professional, I don't care what industry you're in, you should always want to know if a company comes in and is growing as rapidly as we are, you'd want to know what's happening in your profession. But, the goal for this presentation, when I start, is to talk about there are realtors that are struggling in their business, and we have incredible training and opportunities and tools to help agents that are struggling. And then we have another program. It's for everybody, but for successful realtors, we want to show you how you can get free from the hamster wheel and leverage your success and influence. So the 3 keys, secrets to EXP's success is, number 1, lead generation, which Chris does a great job, and his team and Tony and Ryan do. But we have some extra tools through EXP, through KV Core, which is a great marketing system and lead generation platform that also serves as a CRM. And we are given that with our technology fee in the company. So that is just a remarkable tool. Then we have training. Obviously we need to be trained in real estate, to learn the latest and greatest things that are happening. I have been through the MAPS program at KW. I've been through training at REMAX. Awesome stuff, right? I mean, it teaches you the basics. But EXP, what we do is we have people that are in the field currently producing at a very high level, giving you up-to-date practical information on what they're doing in the field to be productive. And so that's more than 40 hours of live interactive training. And here's what's cool. Based on technology, we've all experienced this recently, right? Because we have to be at home on Zoom meetings. We've been doing this. EXP is built for what the future has for us and what we've been going through. So this is interactive training. You can ask questions, but you can do it anywhere, right from your computer. And that's through our EXP Cloud Campus. And then the last one is the time freedom, which I talked about. And this really drove me, and it's driving a lot of successful realtors to say, wow, I've built a great career, but it'd be awesome to share real estate with others and a way to make residual income. Here's just the quick facts. I mentioned we're the fastest growing real estate company on record. REMAX was the first one to do that. Keller Williams beat their record by doing 5,000 agents in 10 years. We went to 23,000 in 10 years. So that's astronomical. I mean, that's multiplied, right? It's exponentially greater, and it's because of the value that we're providing to agents. And so there's no doubt we're in a different world, right? Brick and mortar is going away. I love when people still argue that. It just makes me laugh because I'm like, you're just not being, you're being blocked by it. Brick and mortar is going away in every aspect of our life. We all live from our phones. I mean, people are realizing they don't even need to go to the grocery store, right? Everything can come to you through your phone, and this is the future. It's only going to keep evolving more and more. People don't see the need to go sit in offices anymore. And technology is taking over, and EXP is definitely showing that that's the way. We have people literally selling their franchises, shutting down their brick and mortar offices that are, to come to EXP. Now, with that, I will say, as Inked Realty does, they have an office. It is not against the rules at EXP to have an office. Most just either don't have one, or they do like Inked Realty, have a very economical space that is they're able to perform, have a space to meet clients, have a space for a few realtors to make calls, but they don't need 50,000 square feet of office space, right? That's wasted. So it's being very smart and frugal with your finances and how you run your business. EXP is based on that model. Now, let me kind of skip through, we are international. So I do, what I'm talking about today, it really excites me because you guys have the opportunity to be in a global real estate business. And you say, well, yeah, that's great. I'm part of REMAX. We have people all over the world too. And so does Keller Williams or whatever. Yeah, that's great. But it has zero benefit to you. See, I'm talking about what the benefits are to you today. And that's what I was looking at, is how can I take advantage of this? And so we have the ability to expand in North America, United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia. And we'll be in 30 countries in the next 5 to 7 years. Why is that beneficial? Well, I'm going to talk about our stock options in a little bit here. But first, I want to address this. EXP is all about the agent, as we've talked about. So marketing and branding, as you can see, Inked Realty brands themselves as Inked Realty, which is awesome. They're brokered by EXP, right? And so you have the ability to brand yourself in your own format. We have brokers that have built companies over 30 years. Well, they're just now brokered by EXP. So it's a collaboration. And you get to keep that branding and marketing. I did mention we have the CRM and lead generation through KV Core, and I'll just kind of hit the points. It's only $149 to join EXP. We're on an 80-20 split with a $16,000 cap. So after that, you're at 100%. We don't have royalty fees or franchise fees. Now, guys, I'm showing you 80-20 split. And I know there's people out there, and it always makes me laugh. I made a comment on someone's today. It's like, oh, I'm at 100%. And I always tell people, hey, if I can offer some unsolicited advice, never tell somebody I'm 100%, because it just doesn't make you sound smart as a business person. And probably none of you on here would say that, but you pay your broker something. No broker is going to take the liability, hang your license, and not take money from you. Therefore, you are not at 100%, right? You're paying something. And I can show you a way that you can actually truly be at 100% through our revenue share platform. Commission 80-20 split again, 16 cap, $85 a month for our tech fee, which gives you a ton of benefits. Again, if you're interested, we can talk about that. I won't go into those details. And all we have is a $25 broker review fee, which is only paid when you close, and a $40 E&O insurance fee. And that's caps after 12 deals, and then you're free on that for the rest of the year. So let's talk about real quick the equity program. We are actually back up. We're traded EXPI on NASDAQ. So we are a legit, publicly traded company. It's been awesome. They did that in 2018. And if you join EXP and close a deal, you actually have shares of stock in the company that are yours. They mature after 3 years and you can sell them, but they are yours. Then you get to earn shares when you cap. What that means, if you produce about 2.7 million, just under 2.7 million in sales for the year, then you're going to get additional shares of stock because you did that. Then you can refer an agent to the company. When they close a deal, you will earn more stock. And I'm going to show you how those numbers can play out. But here is, you guys may have been hearing about EXP and wonder, why are such top producers like Ryan Milo, who's been very successful his whole career, and Tony and Chris, why would these guys come over? Especially Ryan, who has an established business out there, and he came over because why? Because he was paying that company money and not getting anything back. But now at EXP, as an Icon Agent Award winner, which means that you do 2.66 million in sales, close 20 transactions after that, you now get back all of the 16 grand in stock. And therefore, you could actually sell that or watch it accumulate over time. As we're growing, that stock could go up in value. So the company could actually be paying you for being a part of it. Now, a lot of people pay franchise fees. No offense, but I just call them junk fees. I paid them. I was not happy about them. I mean, when I was at Remax, Keller Williams, and ERA, and it was a fee that went down the drain, I got nothing for it. Well, now I get to pay 5% towards the equity program, buy stock in EXP, which is a growing stock. And therefore, I've now got equity that I would have just given away, but now it's mine. This is an optional program, so you don't have to pay this. So you could just keep all the money that you were paying in franchise fees to yourself, but that gives you an option to actually build a retirement and a nest egg. And I can tell you it's worked well for me. So this is a quick example. As we wrap up, I'm going to go into the rev share, but Tracy is one of my mentors, and she was at Keller Williams, top recruiter in 2012. Number one broker owner, actually number 4 office for 8 years in a row at Keller, at Century 21. Sorry, Century 21, she owned the number 4 office for 8 years in a row. Well, she came to EXP, took 5% of her commissions and bought that stock that I was telling you about, because she was paying Gary Keller and Century 21, they're 6%, right? Well, she paid $12,498 that would have been given to them. Actually, she only used 5%, so more of that would have gone to them, but only 12 went to purchase the stock. That was at 6,600 shares. She paid out 12 grand, which is worth 56. So she made $43,000. So guys, I understand something. This is where, Chris just talked about stories, right? But this is where sometimes you got to just do the math as a business person. You could either stay where you're at now, pay out the 12 grand, actually pay more because this is only based on 5%. So you'd be paying probably more like 13 or 14,000 to your franchise fee. You could pay that out and get nothing, or you could get it back and look, be worth $43,000. So that is on what she purchased through the equity program. Well, guess what? She was given 12,000 shares through that first slide I talked to you about, by how we earn shares of stock in the company. As of October, that was worth $101,000. As I mentioned, they have to be 3 years to mature, but 40,000 of it was given to her. So she was literally given 40 grand in stock that she did not even pay for. So if you look at this, combined with the money that she spent, the 5% invested, she's up $84,000. This is where, when some people say, listen, some things are no-brainers, when you look at it, how can you turn away $84,000 that she's basically would not have gotten if she was anywhere else? And she didn't do anything different. So that's the stock. Now let's talk about the rev share. This is basically, very simply put, you refer someone to EXP, whether they're in the US, Canada, Australia, or United Kingdom right now, you will get a percentage paid to you as a referral fee out of the company dollar. Okay, we're on 80-20 split. So the company collects this money and then pays it out to the agents. It goes 7 levels deep, and it's very simple. You get paid up to $2,800 on your first level, $3,200 on your second, and you can see it goes on down to 7 levels deep. You are in this green here. So you bring in agents. You can bring in one agent. You're going to start getting paid on that first agent as soon as they close a deal. No requirements. They close, you get paid up to 3.5%. When you get 5, what that does, it opens up the second level, meaning you're now going to get paid on any agents these first 5 bring in. You get up to $3,200 annually on those agents. Okay. So if you do a quick example, let's just say you recruit an agent named Skip. Well, Skip has a client named Pat. Pat buys a house of $600,000, which is pretty simple. Skip gets an $18,000 commission. Well, he's going to pay 20% to EXP. Guess what you get? $630. So you just made $630. You don't know Pat. You haven't helped Skip. You just referred him to the company. Doesn't matter when you referred him. He's still with EXP. Anytime he closes, you're getting that check, right? So imagine how that would feel to know you're getting referral fees ongoing for agents that are selling deals in your organization up to 7 levels deep. Guys, as this COVID, we're 46, according to RealCount, we're down 46% in sales. Now I know it's turning around. The state of Michigan is down 46%. I didn't sell a house because I have other businesses. I said, I'm going to focus on this. And I made over $9,000 last month without selling a home. And in Michigan, sales are down 46%. So that didn't come from Michigan agents only. That came from agents across the United States. How powerful is that? I don't write a check. I have 0 liability. I didn't take 1 phone call. I have no involvement in any of that, but I'm getting paid. That's absolutely incredible when you break it down and you really look at the numbers. So guys, I love this story. If you haven't heard of this, or I'm sure if you haven't watched the movie or knew about how this happened, but Mark Zuckerberg invited 5 people to his dorm room in Harvard to talk about business. 2 of them showed up as they were discussing the business, and 2 of them are worth billions of dollars, right? The other 3, where are they at? They weren't a part of the equation because people have closed minds. They discount opportunities. Opportunities come and go in life, but opportunities like this honestly don't come around that much in a lifetime. And so they just don't, they don't go away. They just go to somebody else. And so wrap up with a couple people. Dave Gagnon, I love his story. Just spoke to him the other day. This gentleman was at Keller Williams, completely happy, not trying to hear about EXP. He's like, I'm good. No worries. I built 7 offices. I launched them at very successful Keller Williams. 6 months later, he was like, man, as I'm a smart business guy, let me at least look. And he left, and now he's making incredible income. He's got over almost 2,000 agents worldwide on his team, and he's approaching 7 figures, residual income, literally just bought a home to live on the ocean and hang out. I mean, just unbelievable. And this gentleman, Bob Mangold, was one of the fastest growing exit franchise owners, and he's over here at EXP enjoying incredible residuals in the stocks and all of the tools that we have to help our agents build their business that Inc. Realty is taking advantage of, with all the technology and being forward thinking and being a part of an organization that's literally going to take over the real estate industry and grow worldwide continuously. So if any of this interests you guys, if you're interested in learning more how this could change your life and give you some stability and show you how you could create another stream of income, we always hear about creating multiple streams of income, and people they're in real estate, but now they're selling, no offense, but some people are selling weight loss and they're selling all this stuff, but you're in 2 different worlds, right? It's like, oh, I sell weight loss over here, but yet I'm a realtor over here. How about if you were still in the real estate game, having the same conversations, growing a team, growing a business, growing a brokerage with none of the hassle? What would that feel like to know you'd have that income coming in and you didn't have to be so diametrically opposed in multiple industries? So that's my time. I appreciate it. If you guys have any other questions or would like to hear more about, what we're doing and how this is working for agents, feel free to reach out to myself, Chris, Tony, or Ryan, and we'd be happy to share the information. So thanks, guys.
Tone, thank you so much for that. I mean, man, so happy to be a part of EXP for my, for long term in my career. It's just really been a game changer. So thank you for always being a part of this, Tone. We really appreciate you, man. And guys, we got to wrap it up, but join us next week. Chris is going to go a little bit into education through content and how to educate your audience through cool different digital marketing tactics. And also we got the worksheet in the chat box below. Go ahead, fill that out. Some good stuff on there. And send this link to your friends, your family, your mom, your dad, your side pieces, your girlfriends. Just send them out to everybody. And, let's keep this thing going, guys. We appreciate you. Have an awesome week.